Welcome to the show, everyone. It's the Crypto Lark. Today, I got to sit down with the team from Kleros to discuss their upcoming ICO focusing on justice and arbitration on the blockchain. We're going to get into that interview after a massive thank you to all you guys who keep on hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel. Your support means all the difference, so thank you so much for being part of the cryptocurrency community. It is much appreciated, guys. And of course, you do have to remember that this is not professional financial advice, guys. This is just a dude talking about cryptocurrencies on the internet. This is an ICO. Please do your own due diligence for investing your own money, because there's always a certain amount of inherent risk in investing in any ICO. Know the risks before you get involved. Furthermore, this is not a sponsored review, just a project that I think is interesting and you might want some more information about. So let's get into the interview. Super excited to have on today Federico from Kleros. Federico, welcome.
Hey, Lark. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Now, your project is super interesting. For anybody that hasn't heard of you, can you give us the elevator pitch? What is Kleros doing?
Sure. So Kleros is building a arbitration platform for like blockchain. Now we have lots of people starting to build different decentralized platforms. For example, in e-commerce, freelancing, sharing economy stuff. So, and they are all going to need some type of arbitration because they are all having user disputes in the platform, right? Like imagine I hire some guy from Guatemala in a freelancing platform to build a website for me. So the guy does the product, I don't like it, and so there is a dispute with the guy. So I'm not going to Guatemala to court and for like a $1,000 dispute, and I'm not going to use an arbitration that exists because all these services are very like old, they're very expensive, very slow. Mm-hmm. So imagine if instead of paying the guy directly, I could put the money into a smart contract, and then if everything goes right, he gets the money, I get the product, everybody is happy. If there is a dispute, money is going to stay locked into the smart contract, and Kleros is going to select a jury of experts, of arbitrators, who know how websites are built because they work doing that. They're going to analyze the evidence, like the product and the agreement, and they're going to vote who is right. And so this is going to trigger the smart contract one way or the other. So that's the elevator pitch.
Nice, I like it. So on the website it says arbitration for almost everything, basically. So what are the limits? Where do you see arbitration not being possible with Kleros?
Sure. So first, both parties have to opt in when they do the agreement. So it's like before the dispute, they have to opt into Kleros beforehand. And second, we are using a Schelling point principle for incentivizing jurors. And so this makes that we, at this moment, first, we are starting to deal with like easy, simple disputes, like binary outcome disputes, and only two parties. So not multi-party disputes and not very complex dispute that may involve values or more complex things. So for now, it's more for technical stuff. That's where like most of the disputes happen because the world economy is becoming more global and we are having more people interacting and transacting on global platforms. And so when the world of crypto becomes like more important and we get all these platforms working in a decentralized way, they all are going to have disputes, right? And so Kleros is a protocol that is building the system of incentives for juror. And on top of that, different people are going to build different applications for different use cases. So it's not that we are going to build the applications for everything, but we need to prove that they work for a couple of use cases, and then people will like plug their arbitration on Kleros.
So essentially, if I'm building like an e-commerce website, I can just plug in Kleros and people can use that. So I don't have to have my customer service guys dealing with the arbitration. You guys, I can outsource that to you guys.
Yeah, the thing is that in this world of decentralized platforms, so these platforms are not going to have like so customer service. This is not eBay. This is not Amazon. So each of us is building one thing. So if you are building some e-commerce platform, like decentralized e-commerce platform, you just like only worry about how you build your platform and how you get users to use it. So you should not worry about building arbitration because that's a very hard thing to do. I can tell you that because we are building this and it's hard. it requires a lot of expertise in game theory, in cryptography, and blockchain. So you worry about your e-commerce platform. Let us worry about the arbitration. And so you just like plug your platform into our arbitration service. So you send us dispute, and we send you the decisions by the jury, fast, transparent, and cheap.
Nice. You gave an interesting use case about ICOs and how you can use Kleros to hold ICOs to account. Can you explain a little bit about that use case? I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, sure. So now we have like a lot of people doing crowdfunding, and so promising things to contributors in their token sales. So, and there is not a lot of accountability at this point, because these people get a lot of money up front, and then they promise they are going to build something. So imagine, instead of like just getting all the money, the contributors put the money, but it is only going to be released as the team is able to deliver on the promises it makes. So the contributors put the money in the smart contract. So if the team delivers what they promise, so the money is released. So, but what if there is a dispute between the team and the contributors about some milestone that was or was not achieved? So some things are not very like objective, right? So you are going to release money when the next product version is like online. So yeah, but this new product we released, is it really a new product, or is that the old one with a couple of tweaks, right? So that could create a dispute. So and there may be reason on both sides, and a jury of experts could arbitrate this type of dispute. So this is a use case that we envision in the future, but it's not like something we could do now, because Kleros is still quite early stage technology, and we wouldn't feel comfortable in putting disputes like potentially worth billions of dollars into an untested technology. But that's something that we could totally envision working in the future. And it's part of building the infrastructure for governance of like the new economy that's coming, and we are trying to do our contribution to that.
Nice. When I hear this, I also think there could be a really interesting application here for politicians. They make a lot of promises. It's kind of like an ICO with a politician. You get you buy a politician, they betray you, and there's no accountability.
It's something I have thought about, but I'm not sure it will work, because the enforcement will not be very easy. But like, if you could put like money, so I'm going to fund you, like your campaign, and then if you achieve some like policy decisions that I want, so that you promised, so money is going to be released like with smart contracts, right? And so if there is a dispute about, okay, you promised you would like push this education bill, so and I said you didn't push it like hard enough, so should the money for your next campaign be released or not? It's not like something that Kleros can. It's not something that Kleros is intended to do, because this is not really a dispute. But that's I think it would be very, very cool to have in the future. But maybe some of you could develop that.
That's the next step. Now, as far as, so let's say the example, you and I are gonna buy this coffee cup. I'm gonna sell this coffee cup to you for $10, right? And so. You send me the $10. I don't send you the coffee cup. Now, but we used Kleros, so we have this service already provided for. Do I have to pay that $10 in Kleros tokens, or do I pay $10 and then a separate fee in Kleros?
So actually, you and I, we would never even know that the Kleros token exists. So the Kleros token, by the way, is called Pinakion, PNK, because that's the name of the ID that the ancient Greek used to select their jurors.
Cool.
But you and I just agree about the using Kleros if there is a dispute. So if there is a dispute, so like I just press arbitration, and so the money, so it stays locked into the smart contract, and then we have to put it in advance for paying the jurors, right? But we don't even have to know that there's something that is called Kleros. And we don't have to know that there is a token that is like, all of that works in the like back end. The people who actually see the token and know Kleros are the arbitrators, because they have to use the token to self-select as arbitrators in disputes. And for you and I, we just do this this transaction into the, let's call it the eBay, decentralized eBay, or maybe not decentralized. So, and then we press arbitration, and so like we put the money for the arbitration payment, and then like one day later, maybe we get some decision so that says, hey, Federico, you have lost your dispute, so you have lost your money, and this, so Lark, you have been refunded, and so that's the end of story for us.
Interesting. What do you think about prenuptial agreements for marriages? Would this work on Kleros?
So I guess a marriage like is both parties have to agree on some arbitration platform in case something goes wrong. So let's say you and I get married, and so we have a crypto kitty, right? And then we should, like, if we get divorced, so maybe we should say, okay, who's going to decide who gets the crypto kitty? So we have to put in the contract what are the criteria of like going to be used for this, making this decision. So when you and I get the divorce and this goes to arbitration, the jurors are going to say, okay, these guys agreed this, and this is what happened, and then they are going to decide who wins, and this is going to send the CryptoKitty one way or the other. It's
very interesting.
I guess, as kind of fun application. I don't know if it's going to be one of the first ones, but potentially,
it's a potential.
Yeah, of course. We're building a protocol that's going to be used in the future, and we don't even know what are the applications. Like I was in San Francisco a couple of months ago, and some guy calls me and says, okay, I want to meet you. And he says, we can use Kleros for arbitration in solar energy. I don't know anything about solar energy, so I have no idea about that. But he tells me that there are some kind of disputes of wind and no, it was wind, not solar, wind energy. Sorry. So some kind of wind turbines underperform according to some contract criteria, and when this dispute happens, they have to send an arbitrator that is extremely expensive. So this guy said, okay, if you could send this information to a panel of arbitrators who know about wind energy, they could very easily solve this much faster and much cheaper than what exists now. So the community is going to think of all the applications. So we need to make sure that the protocol works, that the incentives are right, and the crypto economics are secure. And so then the community is going to build on top of this.
Very interesting. You have people who would be full-time jurors on Kleros. That'd be kind of cool, actually.
Absolutely.
How do you prevent the jurors from colluding or taking bribes?
So this is uses a shelling point principle. So each juror votes independently on the dispute. And so each of them, when you select as a juror in a dispute, so imagine, let's go back to the website dispute use case. So you have to buy a token to get a token called the Pinaki, I told you. So you deposit this into a court of website disputes. So it's like you stake your token there. So, and then imagine you have like 3,000 other people who stake their token there. So, and Kleros maybe select, let's say seven arbitrators, and these 7 guys are going to have the right to analyze the evidence and vote on the dispute. And for doing that, they are going to collect the ETH that the parties have pay for the arbitrators, right? So how do you make sure that the arbitrators are going to not be bribed, but only also how do you make sure that they actually do their work? Because I could just take okay, I can do A, B, A, and not even paying attention to the evidence and just voting randomly to collect the money. So if you have 6 jurors that vote A and 1 that votes B, so you could seeing the same evidence and having approximately the same skills, so you could assume that the guy who voted differently, he or was bribed, or he didn't take a look at the evidence. So this guy is going to lose the token that he deposited into the court, and this is going to be distributed to the guys who voted coherently. So this idea, we didn't invent it. So this comes from the TruthCoin paper by Paul Stork in Bitcoin World, and then Augur has a similar application in their Oracle. But what we did is bring this logic to dispute resolution. So if individual juror has the incentive to vote honestly, not to be incoherent with the rest, and so not to lose money. So on average, if you are honest, if you select into the right court where you have real skills, and you vote honestly, you are going to make money on average. If you try to game the system just by voting randomly, so you are going to lose money on average.
Interesting. Now, you guys have you're part of the Thomson Reuters Incubator. Can you explain what that means?
So yeah, Thomson Reuters is a very important firm in financial information, news, and also legal. So they see that the world in which they live, and the industry where they work, is changing quite fast, and that blockchain is having some interesting things to contribute to the discussion in the industry where they work. So they have an incubator where they accept companies that are trying to innovate and bring new things in this industry. So we are a legal tech company. So we apply to the incubator and luckily accepted, and now we're going to do so they are going to give us lots of support for structuring our operations, like because they have tons of knowledge, and also we're going to start exploring different use cases of our technology into the Thomson Reuters existing customers, and this could eventually, if it makes sense, lead to a partnership with Thomson Reuters to have Kleros in front of real users, and so that's how one starts to change the world.
That's it. And what about some partners that you have already? Who are you already working with?
So we have Ether, the French platform for this exchange for Ethereum, Ether, and then we have Inc. Protocol, that's an e-commerce company from Silicon Valley. And so we are starting to do pilots. So after, in July, we're starting to do some pilots of our technology to see. So everything I told you about the Schelling point and so the logic of the jurors voting coherently and incoherently. So this is an assumption we have, and now we have to test it and see if it actually works as we expected. So starting about July, we're starting tests. So with all disputes they have, so we're going to feed into our system and see if the jurors analyzing the evidence get to the same results that the customer service guys get to.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, if they can do it like cheaper and faster, and that would be awesome. It's a first validation of Kleros.
Very, very cool. Now, the token sale is not happening like a normal token sale. You guys are doing an interactive ICO. What is an interactive ICO? How is it different from a regular ICO? And why did you choose this model?
So yeah, the truth is like token sales for now. So nobody is very happy on how they work, and nobody knows how they should actually work. But it's clear. So Vitalik wrote a paper a couple of months ago with Jason Teuch from Truebit and Chris Brown from Modular, and so they say that there is a kind of dilemma in token sales. So you can run a cap token sale. So you can say, okay, this is the cap, and so people who are going to contribute, they can know what is going to be the valuation of the project, right? The total amount raised and the price. The problem is that so these sales usually they get sold out in like some minutes, and you get people try to get in.
Mm-hmm.
Usually the big guys who can afford like any amount of gas, so they usually are the first in line. So tokens end up quite concentrated, and the small guy sometimes cannot get in, right? And then you have the uncapped sales that so there's no predefined valuation. Everyone can get in, but so maybe if you contribute, so you can end up having a very, very small fraction of the tokens if the sale goes up a lot. So the interactive coin offering tries to balance both like models. So you as a contributor, you can select a cap that is personal. So you say, okay, if the sale goes above like, I don't know, 1,000 ETH or whatever, so I want out, so I want to be reimbursed. So then if the sale goes up of that, so you get your money back, and you're out, right? And if the sale does not go up of 1,000 ETH, so you stay in and you get an amount of tokens. So this gives you some control to to decide when it makes sense and when it doesn't for you to get into the sale. And we think it's the way to move forward this ecosystem, and this is very new, but I think also it's the fair thing to do. It lets everyone get in, so big and small, they are on equal footing to participate. So that's a good thing. And I guess that if we are in crypto, so people in crypto are trying to fight for a better world, and that's a more fair world. So that's why we chose this model.
That's pretty cool. I guess it fits with the entire ethos of what you guys are doing at Kleros. So why not get this fairness-focused model for the ICO anyway? Very, very interesting. Federico, I know you got a flight to catch, so I'm going to let you go, but thanks for taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule to sit down and talk over Kleros with us.
It was awesome. Thanks for the questions. And yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you someday.
Absolutely. Likewise. We'll see you next time.